Pop, Six, Squish, Cicero, Lipschitz, and now the four merry podcasters from the Silver Screen and We Pay for Your Floor podcasts will give their rendition of an attempt of a review of a musical. Yep, that's how I'm going to do that intro. Welcome back, everyone, to the Silver Screen podcast. I am joined by a very special trio of guests from another podcast. And I'm going to, indeed, and we're all going to introduce ourselves in the traditional style that they would do it. So, I'm Mike.
You know how some people have those little habits that get you down? Like Bernie. Bernie likes to chew gum.
And I'm Phil.
Not chew. I won't do the full thing because I genuinely do know every word to Cell Block Tango. I am Andy.
I don't know why I thought that would go better, but yes, this is Andy, Phil, and Sarah from the We Pay for Your Floor podcast.
What did you expect from us, Mike?
And he's Phil.
That's her.
No, good. And I'm
I
Sarah.
don't know why that got me. I'm so sorry. I'm a professional of something. Not this. But...
Phil, I was relying on you. You were the one person I was hoping would hold it together.
Sorry.
Sarah's visibly offended. Yeah, but Sarah, you can't count to 4.
For the purpose of the tape, Sarah is visibly offended.
Hey! Oh, I love it. We're not even on We Pay for Your Floor, and that's the first for the purposes of the
Sorry.
tape.
Yeah.
What are we sponsored by?
I didn't even think of doing that, but why don't you take it away, Andy? What are we sponsored by?
Today we are sponsored by Normal Men.
We're just normal men.
It's normal, babe.
Just innocent men.
And in today's episode of the Silver Screen podcast, we are going to be talking about the Beijing pork markets, as founded by Liz Truss.
Oh, yes. But believe it or not, no, we're not. We are going to be talking about the movie Chicago, if I'm able to. It might devolve into murder, but let's not hope for that. But yeah, in case you haven't already guessed from this is kind of a weird sort of special crossover situation. So it'll be like a Silver Screen podcast, but also a little bit like a We Pay for Your Floor podcast, because you won't know this as the audience, but I had a fantastic Saturday afternoon several weeks ago with these three, recording something like 4 episodes of the We Pay for Your Floor podcast. Had the greatest time, did some cool games, had a massive laugh. And then it turns out technology completely screwed us over and the audio is totally unusable. So this is my attempt to kind of pay them back with a half We Pay for Your Floor podcast, I guess. So there will be some fun and games in the middle of the review, but don't worry, we'll still hopefully be getting to talk about the movie and stuff. We've all seen it, and I think we're all, familiar with it pretty well, especially Andy, who knows all the words to Cell Block Tango, as he's very proud of.
Hungarian.
Including the Hungarian. Very true. If you are a fan of We Pay for Your Floor, then you'll know that before we get into anything Silver Screen related, we're going to have to ask.
We Pay for Your Floor.
We have one fan.
Yeah, it's me. But before I hit the behind the scenes section, I do have to ask that all important question. Sarah, how's your floor?
Oh, well. Oh, God, you've missed it. Oh, you've missed a lot. It's been a few weeks, hasn't it? Well, there's the ongoing court case.
Yes.
Well,
I do.
Well, the ruling did not go well. Okay. So since then, the carpet has been on the run. Okay. There was a whole televised car chase. There was a movie rights to it. There was some kidnappings involved. There was a shootout, and now he's incarcerated.
I love it. We are a very pun-friendly podcast here. I love it.
I love the idea, and I know it isn't the case because you're not smart enough to do this.
How dare you! Now I'm visibly offended for her.
For the purpose of the tape, Sarah's visibly offended.
I'm taking the piss. I'm taking the piss. You know I love you to piss. But I love the idea that for this entire ongoing saga, these now roughly 2 months you've had this ongoing thing of your carpet having a court case, or your floor having a court case, has been building up to that one punchline.
That one really piss poor pun.
I just thought of that pun right there and then.
Nice.
I thought of that pun right in that.
So
very
which
second.
movie studio got the carpet rights to that movie?
Carpet
Right.
Right.
Oh.
Nice. But before we go then any further, you'll know that if you're a regular Silver Screen listener, we usually start the film-related shenanigans with a behind-the-scenes section. It would normally be my co-host DK's job, but he's not here because, quite frankly, I've got enough to deal with.
Can you imagine if someone who has never met us tried to actually interact with us on this podcast? He would lose his mind.
One day, I swear. So yeah, I have had to do the work myself, but I have got a little behind-the-scenes section. Not necessarily funny, but hopefully at least interesting and not super boring. So I'm going to jump into it now. This is the information that I do have about the movie Chicago. Excuse me. As we know, it is based on the play Chicago, which is Maureen Dallas Watkins' retelling of two actual very public murder trials that occurred in Chicago in 1924. Those of, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Beulah Sheriff Annan and Belva Gaertner.
Oh.
Sure.
With the accent was very well done. I feel that the only way to pronounce it is Belva Gaertner.
Belva Gaertner, like.
Belva Gaertner.
Watkins covered these trials for the Chicago Tribune and wrote the character of Mary Sunshine as a self-portrait. More on that character later. For Belva Gaertner, better known as Velma Kelly, she had a much less glitzy fate. She was acquitted and went on to have a few run-ins with the law, but ended up living a semi-normal life before dying of natural causes in California in 1965 at the age of 80. Fair enough. Although in the case of Beulah Sheriff Annan, aka Roxy Hart, it was more of a grisly end. It's true she was acquitted of murdering her lover thanks to the skills of her highly paid attorney, who was bankrolled by her stunningly loyal husband. She repaid that debt by publicly divorcing him after her release and married 2 more times before her death from tuberculosis 4 years later. So, yeah. Talk about some shitty life.
I didn't know it was based on a true story.
I didn't until I was looking it up, but yeah, actual people. Yeah. Bizarre. This is something that fascinated me, and I had no idea, but now I just won't look at him the same way. The actor John C. Reilly is an actual clown enthusiast. He insisted on designing his own clown makeup for the Mr. Cellophane number, and it was also his idea to incorporate Amos's application of the makeup. Yeah.
Wow.
That's quite marvelous. I love that.
He kind of looks like a clown enthusiast.
Yeah.
What does a clown enthusiast look like, sir?
Someone I can't stand.
Like with a camera.
I
Leave him
don't
alone.
like him. I'm really not a fan.
You don't like John C. Reilly?
No, I find him a bit. What's the word?
What is
Yeah, clowny.
Clowny. Really, that's the best you could come up with.
Yeah, listen, I can't remember nouns.
That
Okay.
is fair.
Next thing, I was genuinely fascinated by this because it's about like the choreography, and it's about Andy's favorite number, so he might know this. Apologies if you do, Andy. But during the cell block tango, each girl recreates her crime and uses a red silk bandana to indicate where the blood would have been. However, when Hunyak is speaking, she pulls out a white bandana instead of a red one, showing that she is in fact truly innocent.
Yeah.
Not
Which again
It's a
makes
nice
it all the
touch.
more tragic when she's hanged later. But,
Yeah, I find it quite
Spoilers.
sad that of the prisoners that we actually meet, the only one we see actually essentially pay for their crimes is the one who was actually innocent.
Didn't do any. Exactly, yeah. Fair enough. You might be confused why throughout this movie Billy Flynn calls Amos Hart Andy. This is a reference to the radio show Amos and Andy, which later became a television series, imaginatively called The Amos and Andy Show in 1951.
I never made that connection. I knew of Amos and Andy, but I never made that connection.
Well, now you know.
The more you know.
There are several differences between this movie and stage versions that present the challenges in bringing this project to the screen. A significant difference is the portrayal of reporter Mary Sunshine, played in this movie by the amazing Christine Baranski. In the stage version, Mary Sunshine is played by a very convincing female impersonator who appears to be a large matronly woman. He sings falsetto, and the audience is not aware that he is a man until the second act, after a line to the effect of "things are not always what they appear to be," and someone pulls off the wig and dress, revealing the truth about Mary Sunshine. In an interview with Gay Interest Genre magazine, Christine Baranski expressed her regret at taking a role from a drag queen and said that she decided that the character was gay. And she said, that was my little secret. I was one of those fabulous 1920s lesbians. Sure.
She's great in pretty much
amazing.
anything she's in.
Yeah, she is. She can't sing for freaking Toffee, though, to be fair. Oh, it was painful, but never mind. Named by Entertainment Weekly as one of the best 25 musicals of all time in 2005. The movie was named as one of the 20 most overrated movies of all time by Premiere
Okay.
magazine. Included amongst the... I know, right? Included amongst the 1001 movies you must see before you die, edited by Steven Schneider. Included among the American Film Institute's 2004 list of the top 100 America's greatest music in the movies for the song. Any guesses which one?
So what's Tango?
Nope.
All That Jazz.
All That Jazz.
Ah.
Included among the American Film Institute's 2004 list of 400 movies, nominated for the top 100 America's greatest music in the movies for the song. It's a different one. Anyone?
Roxy?
No.
We both reach for the gun.
Ooh.
No, although it should be. That's
Ooh.
great.
That is a great song.
Apparently it's for Razzle Dazzle in this case.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a one of my
nice.
There you go.
favorites.
And this movie is one of 11 American musicals to win Best Picture. Can you name any of the others out of curiosity?
Okay, Sound of Music.
Sound of Music is not on this. Oh, yes, it is. Sorry, 1965. Yes, congrats. Well done.
Oh.
Yeah.
This isn't an actual official game, but why not?
Yeah.
Andy,
Okay.
Some
Right,
music.
Sound of Music. So I'm trying to think of big musicals. Now,
Mary Poppins?
I thought Oklahoma, but I hate Oklahoma.
Oh,
so-
Oklahoma. Oh, I love that. That is
No,
such
Mary
a good
Poppins and
song.
Oklahoma are both not on this list of 11
Okay, fair.
musicals.
Seven Brides for Seven Brothers?
No.
No? Oh.
Ah,
West Side
Don't know if
Story.
you'd... West Side Story did in 1961 and should have last year, but didn't.
Annie, get your gun? Something?
No.
No?
You might get some of the more recent ones, but the early... There's no way you're going to get, like, 1929
Calamity
Best
Jane.
Picture, would it? No, unfortunately not.
Calamity Jane is
Oh,
great.
Calamity Jane. Yeah.
How recent does it go?
Well, the earliest is 1929 and the most recent is 1984, other than Chicago, which was obviously 2003.
2002, yeah.
So not Moulin Rouge.
No.
Is that a musical?
Yeah, Moulin Rouge.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Starring Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman.
That's it, Nicole Kidman.
I'm going to get you guys started because there's no way you're going to get the Broadway Melody from 1929,
Oh, right, no, okay.
The Great Ziegfeld from 1936. I've
What?
never heard of these.
No.
King and I.
Sorry? The King and I? No, it's a great movie though. One of my mum's favourites, that one, but no, that's not on this list. Going My Way from 1944. An American in Paris from 1951.
Nope, never heard of it.
Gigi from 1958. You might have got that one, I guess.
never
West Side Story from 61.
Ah,
The next one on the list is from 1964, and you should potentially be able to get this. So I'm going to wait and see if you can.
is it a Doris Day picture?
It is not. It is an Audrey Hepburn picture.
Oh! I wouldn't. I'm not gone with that.
No, Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Not a musical.
I didn't-
Oh, right.
It's Gone with the Wind a musical.
Oh no! What's the word? The rain in Spain falls
That's the
mainly
one.
on the plain.
Oh,
What's it called?
that's My Fair Lady, isn't it?
My
Yeah.
Fair Lady.
It is My Fair Lady in 1964. You already guessed The Sound of Music in 1965. There's another in 1968, which you might get based on a Charles Dickens story.
Oh, Oliver.
Oliver with an exclamation mark. And you're never going to get this last one. In 1984, you can try and guess. Anybody?
84.
Footloose.
No.
A chorus line.
No.
A wind tunnel.
What's
A
the
wind tunnel.
what's with the alien transvestite?
Rocky Horror.
That was the 70s.
That was the 70s, and that was
that's
never
70s.
winning anything. No, in 1984, it was Amadeus.
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 So that was all I had for the behind the scenes. But before we get into my little notes and sort of try to bounce a few of them back and forth off you guys, I do like to kind of ask what everybody's first exposure to the film was. And I have a heck of a story about my first time viewing this movie. But before we get into that, do you guys remember the first time you saw it and where you were, maybe?
Go on, Andy.
I do. I was gonna wait.
No, go ahead. I was waiting for you.
Okay, so the first time I saw Chicago was I was at one of my friends' houses, and it was while we were doing our GCSEs, and we were doing a section from Chicago in our GCSEs for part of a production we were putting on. It must have been Cell Block Tango. It must have been because we needed to fit a fair few people in. So I think we did Cell Block Tango. And I really liked it, and I was like, I've not seen Chicago though. And we'd also listened to all that jazz, so I watched it at her house and loved it, and it's become one of my favourite films since.
But first time I watched this was Andy. He essentially just...
Oh yeah, I made you watch it. Didn't
Yeah,
I?
you made me watch it, and you were like hounding me for I think a month or two until you finally got me to watch it.
Because normally you're the one telling me that I need to watch a film that I don't want to watch, and then for once I was like, no, there's a film I want to watch.
Wow, you guys are such a couple.
But the thing is, when I introduce him to things, they're normally good, and he gets interested, and is like, yeah, see, this is why I was saying you to watch it. When he introduces me to things, they're normally, So this was a pleasant surprise.
Fair enough. No spoilers.
So I think the film actually just seeped into my brain. So I think my mother played it. Yeah, my mother played it when I was really young. And I never really fully watched the film in total because I was like, oh my God, why the fuck am I watching this? But the songs and the story kind of seeped into my brain.
Sure.
I think the first time I actually watched it all the way through, I already knew all the songs, which was eerie because my mum had watched it that many times that I already knew it, if that makes sense. So I don't think I actually watched the film all the way through until my mid-20s. When I actually watched it and paid attention. Cool. And then we went to see it on stage, which was amazing.
I think you went to see the same we did.
Yeah, I think because they don't do it in the film, do they? They don't do the drag makeup in the film, but they do it on the stage performance. That really took me by surprise because I'd seen the film. And then obviously
I was. Do you remember my reaction when it? Because
you freaking lost your shit when that happened.
Awesome.
Because
we saw it at the City Hall in Newcastle.
We saw it in Newcastle when we saw it last night. But
awesome.
the guy who was playing Mary Sunshine, his voice was so high and sounded genuine, like a female almost opera singer. That when it was revealed it was a man in drag, my mind was fucking blown.
Yeah,
I was like, because I have a high voice, but I feel like when I sing high, I sound like a male singing high. Fuck off.
No, but in a good way, in a good way.
That's cool.
So that completely blew my mind. That was really, really cool.
And if you sat far back enough in the stalls, obviously you're not going to see the details, so you don't really pay attention until they take the wig off. And you're like, why'd that lady take her wig off? You know what I mean? You sat right at the back. But then, I think my first exposure was unconscious.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say I think it is one of those films where, and I would say this to anybody who hasn't watched it, you probably are familiar with at least 90% of the songs, even without knowing it, because it's just one of those things where it's kind of the songs have pervaded pop culture, and you're gonna know them. It was something that I found because I've never actually. My mum is obsessed with West Side Story, but I've never actually sat and watched it. And then I watched the one last year, the Spielberg version, from last year.
Did they remake it today? Oh, right.
Wow, really? It's on Disney Plus. Get it watched. It's great. But yeah, so I sat and watched that version, and I was amazed that I knew probably not as many as in Chicago, but I knew a good 50-60% of the songs, and I was like, is this just from half watching with my mum when I wasn't paying attention, or is it just one of those things where they're in pop culture and you know them? And I think Chicago was far and away, like I said, 90% of the songs. I was like, wow, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know this bit. It's amazing. Even before I'd seen the film. But my story of first seeing the film, which is quite a fascinating and adventurous one. This is only the second or third movie that I ever saw without going with anybody with me. I would say completely on my own, but I wasn't on my own. It was a packed cinema screening. But I wasn't with anyone, and I was at university at the time, and was like, I was doing a film studies course and decided if I wanted to be serious about these things, I can't worry about looking embarrassed going into films on my own. So I went to go and see a couple, and Chicago was the second or third. It was in January of 2003 when it came out in this country, which is weird that I remember that. But so I was sitting, and then about halfway through the movie, roughly, from nowhere, the cinema, which is in a great big entertainment complex in Newcastle, called the Gate. The cinema had a massive alarm, and we were all evacuated. And just as we were heading out, just as calmly as we could, a bunch of people went running into the gate past us in like hazmat suits and stuff. And we only really, all we could kind of hear mutterings of was like, oh, somebody's called in like a terrorist threat or something. So we've had to evacuate the place.
Just a very angry gay in the audience of Chicago.
I have vague memories of seeing that on Look North.
Yeah, it was so weird. Out of curiosity, then one last question. When they're performing the cell block tango on the stage musical, I'm assuming they wear more than they do in the film.
Nope.
Really?
Nope. The outfits are almost exactly the same, I'd say.
What?
Yeah.
I was genuinely, I mean, I'm no prude, but I was genuinely taken aback because I couldn't remember, like, obviously, when I saw it at the cinema, it would have been 2003. So this week was the first time I'd watched it since then. And when that came on, I was like, I'm pleased I didn't decide to, like, ask my mum to watch this with me or something because this is filth. Like, what the heck, man?
No. There is a lot of mesh. As I say, you can see the women's abs. You can see the blokes. The blokes are just wearing trousers with mesh shirts with a collar on. Why they put a collar on a mesh shirt, I do not know. But it's exactly. If anything, it's probably less on the stage production than it is in the film. To be honest,
wow.
I think anyway.
More in the stage production than it is in the film.
No, less on the stage production.
Oh, because, wearing less.
Yeah, wearing.
Yeah,
as in like outfit wise.
I'm assuming though.
I think the film is kind of aware of its sort of sexuality and just kind of embraces it, and it's like this is part of the show, and like I love that.
But it's like,
definitely.
There's a difference between having someone completely naked and someone dancing with, because there's a dancer's body, isn't there? And there's, someone who's well endowed body. You can wear the same outfit and it looks like less material, doesn't it?
It's like Andy was saying though, the Bob Fosse choreography is very near the knuckle anyway, so it's virtually like a lap dance performance basically with these women who are in effectively just panty and bra, and I was like,
well that's kind of the point, isn't it? It's supposed to objectify women because they've been objectified through the whole story, so why not objectify them even more?
And I think
the commentary on that, really,
the fact that that's when they're kind of striking back and killing people in their stories as well, I think is the very deliberate, like, you like what you're seeing, we will kill you kind of thing. But,
it's a lot of the story of the film, the production, whatever, is kind of about the objectification and the sexuality of women, and the fact that it's kind of, it's a lot of it is about women sort of using their sexuality to their benefit in a way. That's how how a lot of these women get out of their jail sentences. They make them fall in love with them because they're sexy or whatever, or they just look gorgeous. And then you've got people even. Sorry, I'm just kind of diving into different stuff here, but like, we are talking about the film here because I'm specifically talking about a scene in the film. There's like in When You're Good to Mama, it's kind of shown that it's not even these women who are becoming celebrities who use their sexuality as power. That's exactly what Mama Morton does. She sort of like, gives the girls things in prison in exchange for sexual favors, and she's using her power over them, like in the same way that they're using it over the public. And
absolutely.
It also kind of shows that it's just because these women are in prison, it doesn't mean that they're any worse than the people who aren't in prison. Because Mama Morton's just as corrupt as they are. Billy's just as corrupt as they are.
But I think I probably will get into this a bit because I sort of noted it later on. But I think in a weird way, it's kind of very timely about the sort of the cult of celebrity that we have these days, where people can be famous for being famous and without wanting to offend anybody who's a fan of them. Like the key thing that always comes into my mind is like the Kardashians. Where I'm like, what are they famous for?
Yeah, but listen, that's genius though. That mother,
it is in a way,
like sit and insult her. She's a freaking genius. She has made her entire family famous for doing fuck all. That takes a woman of being very smart. And
I'm not saying they don't do work, because obviously there is work involved in like creating all of these clothing and makeup ranges and stuff like that. But but it's like a lot of families do that and they don't get noticed, and it is all about literally how good are you at manipulating the media. So like I said, that's kind of what Billy Flynn does, isn't it?
Because at the end of the film, Lucy Liu comes into it, doesn't she?
Exactly.
She's supposedly this heiress, and she shoots the guy on the steps, and immediately everyone's focus turns to her, and everyone forgets. So you're absolutely right. I think it is a very good commentary. Yeah.
It is. It's kind of weird to see that we've been through stages of that, though, because even I remember, like, in the late 90s, early noughts with, like, reality TV, Speaking of like X Factor or Big Brother and stuff like that, it went through the same thing where it was like you were huge until the next series started, and then you were just back to working at Tesco's or whatever. You know?
15 minutes of fame comes to mind.
Exactly, yeah. Andy Warhol, yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Sweet. Oh well, fair enough.
True.
The other point I wanted to make just quickly that I picked up on in this film, but I did read it in something about it in the behind the scenes thing. I'm assuming, hopefully, that the stage show has a lot less smoking in it.
Do you know what? I don't remember anyone smoking in it.
I think there might have been like prop pipes or stuff.
Yeah, I imagine they wouldn't have used real cigarettes.
Yeah,
but I don't vividly remember any sort of even just sort of allusions to it.
I don't know if it does. Yeah, I've never really seen any clips like that. But I was amazed watching the film because it is so prevalent. And I remember before I started the film, I did read something about this is the film that's responsible for getting smoking put onto the criteria before you get certificated. So you know how it's like sexual nudity, alcohol / smoking. And the reason for smoking is because there's so dang much of it in this film. And it really did.
1920s, it was part of beauty, wasn't it? They said that smoking would make you look younger for longer. It was they used to have nicotine enemas back then, where you literally blow smoke up your arse for a health. And people used to advertise it, you know, so it was a big part of 1920s culture, wasn't it? You know, actresses were photographed with it, you know.
I understand that, like, it's key to the time and stuff, but it's just there was something really jarring about watching Zeta-Jones give like this most energetic performance, like jumping about all over, legs akimbo in the air and everything, and then somebody just offering her a ciggy, like, have a drag. I was like, that can't be healthy. Do you know what I mean?
To be fair, though, it has more oomph than someone offering an e-cig, doesn't it?
So we have talked a little bit more than I normally do, but never mind.
Sorry.
We can whiz through the notes, but if you're a regular listener, you know that we break the notes. Instead of being like chronological, I break it into like acting, directing, music, etc. So without wanting to just completely railroad you guys, the first section that I have down is just some notes on the acting, but I'd love to know you guys' thoughts on the acting. And why not? Obviously, the main three would make more sense. So like Zellweger, Zeta-Jones, and Richard Gere. What are your thoughts on them in this film?
Catherine Zeta-Jones in this film makes me question my sexuality.
Zeta-Jones, she is fantastic.
I'm sure she was wasn't she in her 40s when she did Chicago? She
does the splits.
Incredible.
She does look incredible. But her acting is fantastic.
Her acting's really good. Her accent is really good as well, because obviously she's actually Welsh.
I didn't know if the accent was very good. I thought to me it sounded a little bit off, but I think that's because I'm like, my first exposure to her was her speaking in her Welsh accent. So it's always weird when I hear her doing an American accent, and I'm like, this is just fake. Definitely funny.
She's the standout for me. I mean, that's probably because Velma's my favourite character, but I love Catherine Zeta-Jones in this film. She has some... it kind of works with the characters as well, but her and Zellweger kind of work well together because they're quite contrasting. Like, Zellweger kind of has the sort of innocence about and that's partially down to Roxy. It's like the blonde hair, the baby face, her voice when she sings is higher, that kind of thing. But then Catherine Zeta-Jones has like the lower, sultrier voice, which I find more pleasant to listen to. It's, and like character-wise, she's sort of like, she looks older, more mature, she's darker in terms of like she's got brown hair. I think
yin and yang, isn't it?
Yeah.
The fact that Catherine Zeta-Jones won an Oscar and Zellweger, as far as I'm aware, didn't, I don't think. I think says it all as to who's the kind of strongest performer in the movie.
Who's the guy that plays the lawyer? What's his name?
That's Richard Gere.
Richard Gere. I can imagine Phil as Richard Gere.
Thank you.
As in, like, as the old lawyer in this film. I can imagine you singing...
He hired a hooker for a week that one time. He stuck a hamster up his arse that one night.
It came out eventually.
I can imagine you singing Razzle Dazzle and enjoying yourself as a lawyer.
Razzle Dazzle is my favourite song. So I would love to, I'd just love to be Richard Gere. I mean, that man is a fucking legend.
You did do it. They did cast it really well, though, didn't they? Actually,
they did.
I would disagree slightly. I don't personally. This is going to sound really mean, but I think Zellweger's somewhat miscast because I just don't buy her at all as like. For whatever reason, I just don't buy her as like sultry or sensual or any of these kind of sexy things that the character is meant to be, like
Who
fully
would you
alluring.
replace her with?
Denise Van Owen. the thing is,
I'd say you could replace her with anyone. I'm not too sure because I just don't. I'm not sure if it's that I don't like Roxy as a character or if I don't like her portrayal.
I think
of
it's because
Roxy.
she's too kind of, and again, maybe it's because I saw her in Bridget Jones first, but she's too kind of girl next door, sweet, innocent.
Well, that's what she's supposed to be, though, isn't she?
See, that's why I think she works, because that is what Roxy's meant to be.
It isn't, though. Partway through, she's meant to be like getting through this big change and like having the big makeover and like ending up on the stage and being glam.
She's believable as Roxy at the start, absolutely.
Yeah, but she doesn't have the kind of X factor that she's supposed to have. Like, we're supposed to believe like she could take the stage and everyone will be wowed by her. And I'm like, if I saw her picture in the paper, I'd be like, oh. Like Zeta Jones has something where you're like, wow, I want to look at this face or something.
Yeah.
But
Zellweger, really like, what Roxy thinks of herself, but the rest of the world is just sort of, you're nothing special.
Yeah, that's true. That's what happens in the end, really, doesn't it?
Right, here's the thing, though. I was going to mention this with the music, but I feel like this kind of slots in here, and it might go a ways to explain why I actually think her casting kind of works, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there, in the fact that it's how she sees herself.
Right.
I don't know if you know this. You might know this, and you might have it in your notes. But the way that they staged the songs in the film to have it make sense with the plot, all of them are done as dream sequences through Roxy.
Yeah, it's all in her head, basically.
Yeah, it's all in her head, which is why the song Class was cut, because it's the song that she isn't really a part of, and therefore plot-wise, or in staging-wise in the way that they were doing them, it wouldn't make sense to have that song in the film because she's not a part of it. And if the explanation as to why they're bursting into song is because it's all in her head, then why would Mama Morton and Velma start singing when she's not there imagining it happening?
Well,
so that's
to be
why
fair,
Class was cut.
why would her husband start singing when there's nobody there? But we accept it because it's a musical.
True.
So. But how she sees him. She
sees him as a clown.
That is I love that song. I know there's so many better songs, so many good songs in the film, but Mr. Cellophane has got to be my favorite. I love it so much. I just love the bizarreness of it, the beat of it, the song itself. I hate the actor, not really a fan of him, don't really like him, but the character itself is just pathetic, and the song is pathetic, and for some reason I just love it. I've always loved it. And the fact that you can just do the cellophane, Mr. Cellophane. I love it. Such a good song.
I do think, for what it's worth, that as much as you dislike him, I think it was a good idea of John C. Reilly to incorporate putting on the makeup and stuff, building up into the song. I think that works really well.
I think this is just. I think Sarah just has a personal vendetta against John C. Reilly because I actually really liked him.
Him and Will Ferrell, I just don't get on with.
Oh no, I don't like Will Ferrell. I don't like Will Ferrell at all.
Will Ferrell can burn in a ditch, but John C. Reilly's all right.
I like John C. Reilly in Chicago. Also, he voices Wreck-It Ralph, and I love that film. So
I like the film. Don't like the person. I can like the film and not like
Speaking
of, I think John C. Reilly works as Amos. I think.
I was going to say. I think he does really good put upon acting, and you kind of just feel. I personally just feel sorry for him because he's the one that's like truly manipulated, and it's like, oh, dude.
If you think about all the characters in the film, he's really the only character who gets a lot of focus on the film, apart from maybe Hunyak, who's the Hungarian in the Tabla Tango. That is actually a nice person.
Oh yeah, I've mentioned this definitely later on.
Everyone else in this film is an absolute arsehole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I also just want to give special. I think Queen Latifah was perfect casting for Mama Morton.
Yes. Speaking of arseholes who play it perfectly, Queen Latifah is wonderful in just being this sexy, bombastic manipulator.
She's a really good singer as well, which I mean, I know it's stupid because she's a performer, but she's a rapper, not a singer, and it's a completely different skill. And I was genuinely surprised at wow, she's good at
she's singing. A really good singer.
Yeah, she was. I like the slight lesbian connotations as well.
It's not even slight lesbian. It's very heavy-handed.
It's very.
It isn't subtexted. It's just full-blown text in your face.
I know you kind of mentioned this later, but since it's more of a comedy line that I love as opposed to a more serious one, one of my favourite lines in the film is actually, you know where this is going. It is in the song "When You're Good to Mama," and I don't know if it works just because it is Queen Latifah, who is quite a heavy-breasted woman. But the line, they say that life is tit for tat, and that's the way I live, so I deserve a lot of tat for what I've got to give.
Yeah.
I love that. That's basically just a very heavy-handed way of saying I've got really big tits, so I deserve everything. And I kind of love that. It's so like
I didn't pick up on that,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's fair enough.
But if we're talking about the core three, Velma's my favourite character. If we're talking about overall, it's kind of a tie between Velma and Matron.
Fair enough. The only other note I have about the acting is that I would imagine I'm probably a bit older than you guys. So I've been watching Richard Gere movies since the 80s because I also have a sister, so I don't have a flipping choice. So I must have seen Pretty Woman so many times and stuff. And
Pretty Woman is a good film.
Pretty Woman's an alright film.
It's all right. But I'm like, I've never been that fussed about Richard Gere as an actor as such. It's just kind of one of those actors that was there. And yet I'm really impressed with him in this movie. And again, surprised that he can really sing.
Yeah. That's the good thing about a good director or a good vocalist will suit you to the song. So you can't put someone who's not good at range on a song that Queen Latifah would normally do. Let's put him on a song that's mid-range, like Razzle Dazzle, because really there's not really any notes to hit, is there? It's just more like mid-range sort of stuff. So they do.
As far as I'm aware, though, he's not like a performer or a showman. He's an actor by trade, and so you don't expect like these old school type actors. To be able to come out and perform like that, or I didn't anyway, like tap dancing and singing and stuff.
Just off the back of what you just said, Sarah, because I'm going to slightly disagree.
Yeah.
Mainly because, whilst yes, Razzle Dazzle is a relatively easy song to sing in terms of the range, we both reach for the goodies way more difficult. One, because there is a big note at the end, but also the breath control you need for that song.
Good point.
Is like impeccable.
Yeah, but also it's a film. So it's edited.
Oh no!
So it won't be done in one take.
I think as well that's
a good point.
It is still impressive.
Absolutely.
That's the song that's most like a performance as well. So I'd imagine like an actor's transferable skills would be he's not doing a regular voice, if you know what I mean. It's a specifically very exaggerated kind of thing.
Good point.
But yeah, I was just going to say that he does brilliant cold bastard acting, which I was surprised at because normally I'd only seen him in rom-coms where he's playing like the nice guy and the guy that gets the girl in the end. And I was like,
Runaway Bride and stuff like that.
Runaway Bride, Pretty Woman, or Officer and a Gentleman. I could name them all, but But so I was pleasantly surprised about that, and I again picked up on my notes of like. Again, this is a character just made from this woman's account of these 1920s murderers and stuff, but he's so comparable to like spin doctors or agents or the best media manipulators, and he's so relevant in 2022, like 100 years later, to some real scum that exists in the world today.
I again, a note on Richard Gere's performance in this. I love the contrast between his performance as sort of the showman and then just the reality, because and it's not even just in the musical numbers that are obviously in Roxy's head, it's in the courtroom as well. I know that's kind of the point with the song Razzle Dazzle. It's about him sort of explaining that the way he wins court cases is by putting on a show and getting the audience, the jury on
even that though, that kind of the way that he does the court case really reminded me of like when I was watching documentaries about Johnny Cochran and the OJ case. Yeah. And I was like, shit, this is something that actually happened. Like a guy got off with murder because his lawyer was just like, I'm going to blindside you with all this razzle dazzle, basically.
Yeah.
Clever. It's clever. Yeah. It's not necessarily about how intelligent you are, how much you know the law. It's just about
how you can
because a lot of the things that we judge in life are based on how much we like the person.
Yeah. And he knew that, and that's what the lawyer capitalized on. So it's a good point.
It's like Margaret Thatcher helped invent Mr. Whippy. And Mr. Whippy is quite delicious. However, I don't care because I hate Margaret Thatcher.
Well, there you go.
Is Mr. Whippy a good thing? Hell yeah. Doesn't make Margaret Thatcher a good person.
That's a very weird tangent.
Has to get a dig in Margaret Thatcher every couple of hours.
That's what it is.
Part of the contractual agreement.
Milk stealer.
We're from where the pit countries.
If you don't complain about Thatcher at least 4 times a day, you get kicked out of Yorkshire.
If you don't complain about Thatcher,
you get sent down south and you have to wear a Yorkshire pudding as a hat until they'll take you back. The Yorkshire pudding is the sign that you're a northerner.
You get given the ceremonial flat cap and whippet.
Just going back to what you
And a
said.
shirt that says "Eva, come."
Hey up, my love.
Tin, tin, tin.
Just Just going back to what Andy said there, I think as well, there's a definite contrast between the quote unquote dream sequences and the real life, because he's always wearing that pinstripe suit, and obviously in his song scene, the pinstripes are always glittery.
Yeah.
And then obviously in real life, even when he's doing the scene where he's like asking questions, he's doing the and you hear the which I think is such a good touch. It just really is the epitome of what court is. I mean, Johnny Depp case is a really good example of that. Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp. It was just a fantastic version.
It was just a
Chicago.
circus.
It was razzle dazzle. It really was. Yeah.
I love how in the court, even though it isn't a musical number for a lot of it, I like how when sort of he's building his closing argument in the court case, I love that it intercuts between the courtroom and him performing a dance.
Yeah.
And then like the way that's interspersed and brought together to sort of show how his mind is working.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the whole writing of that last sequence, which is my next section was going to be writing, but I'll get into it now. That I'm always kind of blindsided at like the cleverness and the multiple layer upon layer of, oh no, Velma's betrayed her, but no, it was him that told her to do it, and he planted these things in the diary that would help do that. And I was like, mind blown. Like, this is a musical, and it's got layers of writing in that last act where I'm just like, this is worthy of like Columbo or some shit. The writing in terms of like, we've already kind of talked about most of it, but like it's baked in from the stage play, but I would assume it hasn't changed that much. Obviously, you guys have seen it. I haven't. But I'm guessing the movie just pretty much straight adapts that story, you know?
Pretty much, it's more or less a straight progression.
It is.
As Andy said, there was, I forgot the name of the song, but there was the song between Mum and Velma that's cut out in the film. But more or less, it's I'll hasten to say scene for scene remake because things are slightly different on stage, but it's more or less cut straight progression.
I think it's such a shame that they cut the song Class from the film, because I think
I don't
the
know
song
about this.
Class is.
Have you never heard it, Mike?
It's really good. Go on YouTube and have a because it
I
was
will now,
filmed and then it was cut out, wasn't it? But it is a great explanation of what the actual film is about, though. Do you know? And it's like no one has class anymore, and everyone just pays attention to the media. Everyone just wants to see razzle dazzle. They're not bothered about substance. They're not bothered about quality. They just want what is.
But the irony is that
they want to show.
The irony is that it's being sung by Velma and Mama Morton, who are like
manipulators.
These kind of awful people who they're singing about anyway. So it's kind of a beautiful irony.
Don't you just think that that's just them playing the game, though? They're just playing the game because no one has class anymore.
I can see why that would have been cut, though, to be fair, because the film makes that point in so many different lines of dialogue and places anyway. Because that's like a lot of the notes that I've had or stuff like that. Like the line, like, in a couple of weeks, no one's going to give a shit about you. And, you know, the best line when he's like, tell the audience, the jury. You know? That's so weird. And even at the very end, like the shock murder that steals her thunder, it's like nobody even wants a picture. You can't beat fresh blood on the walls. I was like,
that's a good quote. Yeah.
And then that's perfectly contrasted right at the end when she's like performing in that bar to audition, and the guys who are watching her and meant to be judging her don't even pay attention. They're just sat there going, "Wasn't she in the newspapers a few months ago?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, didn't she kill some guy?" And then he's like, "Oh well, who hasn't nowadays?"
Exactly. And the other one that struck me in terms of the writing and dialogue was just at the very end with the whole. They're trying to team up because obviously nobody wants to do a solo act and whatever, and she just goes, "I hate you," and she replies, "There's only one business in the world where that's no problem."
I was going to say you've kind of taken it from me, but that's probably my favorite line of dialogue. I love that line.
We'll get into that later for sure. Yeah, definitely. But I just think there's a lot of that already in there. Although I do want to hear this song because I didn't know anything about it, so I can't wait to
I'll send it you.
It's good.
I do like the kind of cynical, satirical edge that the film has, which I don't think gets enough credit.
It's also, in all fairness, it's a slower song. It's I think it's kind of a waltz almost. I think it's in 3/4 time.
Fair enough.
But it's slower, almost ballady. It's quite short. I think it's like just under 3 minutes. But if you anything like me and like appreciate vocals, the harmonies are really nice because pretty much the entire choruses are sang in harmony between Velma and Mama Morton.
Yeah, fair enough. The last note I had on writing, which was my least favorite part of the movie, and we've talked about it a bit, but I'd love to know you guys' thoughts, is that I just don't understand the logic of having to see the innocent woman get executed when we know that she's innocent. And I was like, that's kind of, it's tonal whiplash for me because it's like shockingly dark and tragic, and it comes from nowhere almost, you know.
I kind of get where they're coming from because it's in a way showing just how corrupt the system is, that all these absolute twats can go through the system and get off basically scot-free. And yet the one person who is good, the one sort of beacon of purity in this dark world of filth and depravity gets extinguished. It's like, no, we can't let you go on. No.
All because she couldn't speak English.
I was about to say there is a very kind of a racist undertone to it.
Oh,
Which is the point. It's making a commentary on how racist the time was as well. Because do you know the rough translation of what Hunyak sings in or says in Talbot Tango?
I don't. Do you? Well, who am I asking? Yes.
So basically, if I remember rightly, her uncle killed her boyfriend and then framed her for it.
Oh.
But because she can't speak, she explains that, again, it's a rough translation because it's been a while since I've read the English translation of it. But basically, the reason she gets thrown in prison anyway is because she can't speak a word of English apart from she's learned how to say not guilty because that's what she is. So she learned to say that so she could try and prove her innocence. But because she can't speak anything else of English, the police have just gone, oh, well, she probably did it. And just treated her like she was this criminal.
Related to that, though, and the film is just as guilty as looking at her in that way, because I did read that Hunyak is not actually a name. It's basically a sort of a mild racial slur, like saying, like, if it was a German character, calling him Jerry, or if it was an Irish character, calling him Paddy. It's just like a term for Hungarian people that's, you know, just a random, oh, she's a Hunyak. And I was like, that is
I think
so
it acts
weird.
as well as a motivational tool for Roxy, doesn't it? So at up to this point, she's doing it for fame, and then after that point, she's got fame and the motivation to stay alive and not be hung.
That's very true, actually. Yeah.
They make a point of saying, because again, I was going to mention that. But one of the reasons I disagree with your point is it kind of lights the fire under Roxy's ass. Because if you remember, before this, she stops working with Billy because she's like, "Oh, I don't need you. The public love me."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to tell her, he's like, well, no, they don't. They love the version of you that I've made them believe. And she's kind of like, well, I can keep it up. I don't need you.
And she thinks she's safe because no woman has ever been executed.
Yeah, she thinks she's safe because no woman's ever been executed at this prison for 100 years. And then Hunyak gets killed. And then all of a sudden she's back working with Billy because she realizes, oh,
shit,
fuck.
That actually makes a lot of sense about my other question, which I wasn't sure about why it was interspersing the harsh reality of that with, like, as if Hunyak was on a stage and it's like the magic will disappear in that. But I guess if it's in Roxy's head, she's trying to make sense of it in terms, and then
that's
just
exactly what it is. She's she's picturing it in the way that her brain sees the world, which is a performance.
And it was very I think it was beautifully done because she was a ballerina.
Yeah.
She was pure white and she was innocent. And obviously she was an innocent performer and she disappeared from the stage, which kind of like Phil said, it just adds to her innocentness. It adds to her guiltlessness that she's this pure white figure that is just performing for the world and then the becomes a victim of it.
I love the way it's staged as well.
I was just going to say that.
It's so nicely done. And it's a really good way of showing you what's happening without having to sort of be grim and sort of be able to get away with putting that in what I think it's, is it 12 or 15 rated? I can't remember.
I think it's a 12, but like I said, I think it's a 12A maybe.
But I reckon if it is a 12, I reckon if they'd have just shown her getting hung, there's no way they'd have got that age rating.
It's a 12.
I think it's the sign of a good director. I was going to say the exact same thing because you don't actually see her getting hung, but you feel the exact effect of it from audience reaction to the performance. And I appreciate that because I was like, a lesser director might have went for the shock factor of like watching her neck snap or something, and I didn't need that. So I was like, I did appreciate that they at least, they weren't truly grisly about it,
for a film about a shit ton of death and murder, they are
quite upbeat about it.
Upbeat, but
also, if you think about it,
it's not overly gory. They use a lot of very well played symbolism.
But it's quite a weird contrast to the it's quite a weird contrast to Fred Casey's death, where we do just straight up see Roxy shoot him.
Yeah. That is really the only one though, because I think the rest are all represented by like the hankies or the you know, we see like the aftermath of a lot of them, but we don't actually see them going down. You know. But yeah, Roxy's is the only shocking one, and I think that might be because, like you said, she's the protagonist, and we're seeing everything in her head. But that's the one thing we're supposed to see objectively is like that's what actually happened. Yeah. So yeah, interesting. Speaking of which, I have a few notes just randomly about the direction, just to move us ahead. No offense to anyone. Yeah. But it's a little bit cliche now, but I appreciated the way they interspersed like the sex scene with the kind of show business of it all. And with Roxy, like, call me a star and everything. I was like, this is just easy to us now, but I would imagine at the time that the sort of stage play was written, it wasn't yet a cliche, so I can kind of forgive it. On the same way that the kind of like, she's actually pregnant plot cliche, I think. I was like, oh, this is so like, this is like soap opera amnesia level of, come on, are you really falling for this? But again, at the time, it might have been a fresh new thing. And it is something that only, in terms of like women as manipulators, it's something that only a female criminal or could really get away with doing.
I love, just on the note of that, I love the line in the film when obviously she comes up with the idea of playing pregnant. And also, can we just take a moment to appreciate Velma's reaction when she does that, when she's like, shit. It's like, it's in all fairness, as much as I fucking hate Roxy as a character, very smartly played. But I love when Billy asks the gynecologist, is she pregnant? Doesn't he say something like, well, she is now or something, and he's like doing his fly up?
Oh, the doctor.
Yeah. It's heavily implied that he's just had sex with her to try and
did not pick up on that at all.
Yeah.
It's so he signs off on the pregnancy diagnosis, isn't it? Yeah.
And he slept with her to try and make sure that that she is in fact pregnant.
Yeah.
Fair enough. The only thing I remembered about that is that there was a very back and forth about, like, does it matter? I was like,
listen.
I thought you were going to go down the line of Amos and Billy, the sort of back and forth they had.
Yeah.
Wait, you can count, can't you? Yeah, well, if we didn't do any copulating in, wait, that means I can't be the father.
Yeah. You said you made a point there that you said that you know, it's so cliche, but it's still relevant. I don't know how many times I've walked past a magazine stand, and is it called not A Up? What's it called? Hello.
That's the Yorkshire version of hello.
The Yorkshire version of hello. Hey up, my love.
Does that mean it's the Yorkshire version of Heat magazine, just called In It Wham?
In It Wham.
Oh, there is a Yorkshire version of OK called Yarid.
So there's you've seen those magazines on the stands where it's a lot of it's like, is Meghan Markle pregnant, or you know, what's her face from Big Brother 10 years ago maybe pregnant. For some god knows what reason, it's still relevant in these
shitty up.
Why?
Because we've not evolved as a fucking species since the 20s, apparently.
It's just gossip, exactly.
Relevant. Yeah, gossip. People love it. People love it today. They always will.
Just going back to the sex scene as well. One particular bit of direction that I really like is during the sex scene. Before this point, it's never said that Roxy's cheating at this point. The only sort of the first indication we get that, maybe this isn't just, you know, two people hooking up, is when she puts the picture down.
Oh, yeah.
And I like that they focus on that to kind of make your brain go, oh, okay, this is some infidelity going on here.
Yeah.
That's clever.
I really like that.
I picked up on a similar note, as I said, like, it's weird how the only jarring hint of reality, as you said, is Roxy committing the murder. But even then, immediately afterwards, the director like focuses on her eye and the light shining in her eye, which has the dual meaning of like interrogation by the police, but also like the spotlight of fame.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that is amazing, like framing of that.
The way that the director, I can't remember who directed this, I'm not going to lie.
Rob Marshall.
It is Rob Marshall. But
it is.
The way that he finds so many ways throughout the film with his directing and like camera shots and stuff to equate a courtroom, a police interrogation, a legal sequence to a production on stage is remarkable.
But it is. But that's what it is, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, especially with something so public as this particular case in the film was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Definitely.
incredibly well done.
Good
Yeah,
point.
you've said it all. I completely agree. And yeah, just great interspersing of reality and fantasy, as you said. And related to that, the only other quick note that I made is I love the scene where, and I can't remember what song it's in, but when it shows Billy as the puppet master, like literally controlling the
Oh, and
puppet.
it is when we both reach for the gun.
Above
Yeah.
each other gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Above
it pans up and it shows him controlling literally everyone.
Yeah.
including
Yeah, because like
the
he's on the
reporters.
stage,
Yeah.
but there's also a him there in very kind of Nightmare on Elm Street type style, and I was like,
Yeah.
that is so weird and jarring. But yet,
Very
I
well
get what
done.
you're saying. Is like he's manipulating everyone. So
Even down to
I
the
love
fact that they've made Roxy's makeup look like she's a puppet.
Yeah.
oh, I
It's-
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, as much as I criticized Zellweger earlier, she's great in that number, and I think she's actually great when she gets more and more desperate. The actress
Yeah.
comes out and she's very good, and she's great at, throughout the film at like the changes of character. So in the song, whatever it's called, My Funny Hubby, when he basically like halfway through
Yeah.
throws her under the bus,
Yeah, funny,
and she
honey.
completely switches to like, you scummy.
That's the thing. That's one of my favorite songs to sing from Chicago because that change is so fun. Oh, another bit of I don't know if this is really down to the direction or the set, but I really like at the end in Nowadays when they've got the prop guns, because obviously the whole point of this
Yes,
act
yeah.
is that they're sort of taking the piss out of the fact that we shot people.
Yeah.
When they have them shooting the lights to make their names in
Their
them.
names.
And I love that sort of just sequence.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
It's like a really good way to culminate the two worlds of the film
Yeah.
together, really.
Playing on their notoriety for their fame as well. It's a literal embodiment of it. Is like we're shooting the spotlights to us or whatever. But
We're literally
yeah.
shooting our names in
in lights. Awesome. So the next, just before I get to the game that I had planned, the last thing I talked about was the music, which obviously there's a lot of it. So I was just making quick notes about the things that I liked. First of all, the background score is surprisingly good, which you don't often get in a musical because it just goes from song to song. But I thought the background score was very cool in like 1920s jazz and stuff as well. Speaking of which, I love all that jazz. For whatever reason, I just really love the line, yeah, I'm no one's wife, but yeah, I love my life. It's just, I don't know why, that just gets me. Obviously, I love the When You're Good to Mama song you've already mentioned. Latifah knocking that out of the
There's
park.
so many good lines in that, like you already mentioned with the
tit
tit
for
for
tat
tat, and also
Yeah.
the,
If you want my gravy, pepper my ragu.
I love
I'm
the
just
cell
there
block
for-
tango as well.
for Queen Latifah and Richard Gere because they are my two, for some odd reason, my two favourite moments. Well, my favourite moments of the film are when they are on screen at any point.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Particularly both Reach for the Gun. The whole puppetry bit is one.
Clever
Definitely,
idea.
yeah.
I also really like how it's a song that isn't really talked about that much. And to be fair, it isn't at least for me, it isn't one of my particular favourites. But I like the way that Just Can't Do It Alone is staged, with her sort of dancing on stage, but then it keeps cutting back to the fact that she's literally just in the cafeteria. And it's set up in Roxy's head, it's kind of portrayed as like she's doing a one-woman show on stage doing all these dance moves. But then it cuts back to the prison and you see that she's just pleading with Roxy at this point because she knows that this is basically her only way out now.
I love
It's
that, yeah.
so-
And Roxy's having none of it at all.
Yeah,
She's
that's-
just barely paying attention.
That's probably, even though it's probably when she, one of the moments where she's at her bitchiest, it's probably my favourite moment of Roxy.
Yeah.
Is when she's just not paying any attention to the way that Velma is just throwing herself at her.
And arguably, Velma is probably the most talented of the two.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Definitely.
it kind of all comes full
yes.
circle as well, because then when Roxy gets cast aside,
Mm-hmm.
Velma's just kind of there like, sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How the tables have changed.
I do like as well, just again, are we allowed do you mind if we take a bit to just talk about the sort of similarities in their stories and how they culminate? Because I think
Talk
it's
about
really
what you
cool.
like as long as it's related to the movie.
But I love the similarities between the stories of Velma and Roxy and how they clearly do. Like, obviously, because Roxy starts the film loving Velma, she like idolizes her, and then like Velma's a bitch to her because there's a whole part where she's like, "Do you want some advice from me?" And she's like,
she like just tells her how she wants her laundry washed or something.
But
And
the
then-
bitchiness back about like advice from me, lay off the caramels. Like, you bitch.
Yeah, I love that the tables are turned, and then at the end they both end up in the same desperate situation, and then the pair of them
Exactly.
end up the way it was always going to end up. They have to team
Together,
up.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so well done, and in a way, it almost does feel like they kind of get their comeuppance in that sense, because it's like, well, you hate each other, but now you kind of have to depend on each other.
Well, if you guys are happy to do it, then that's basically covered everything I wanted to say, more or less. So I have a game before we get into the favourite characters and the conclusions and things in We Pay For Your Flow style. It is a game that I let's see, what's the best way to phrase this? Homaging from elsewhere, as you'll know when you hear the name. And it is a game that is called Once More Without Feeling.
Okay.
Nice.
This game, I have 25 examples of lyrics, all from different movie musicals. I'm going to try to act them out with as little emotion or pizzazz as possible. Quite a challenge for me. And whoever calls out the correct answer first will get a point. And at the end, we'll see who has the most points out of the three of you. 25 different musicals. They can be anything at all. Any kind of musicals. You might not know all of them, you might know some of them. And as I say, we'll try to keep it as civil as possible, but if you just shout out the answer if you think you know it, and then we'll give you the point if you've got it right.
There is no civility between friends here.
Oh, there's going to be competition. It'll get into it, I'm sure.
Sarah's already eyeing me up with the death glare. She's ready.
I am going to potentially try not to get into it because there's some ones where I feel like the music and the rhythm might take over, and I'm trying to do this as plainly as possible, at least at first, so bear with. So this is the very first one, and it is as follows. No matter what you do on the stage, keep it light, keep it bright, keep it gay. Whether it's murder, mayhem, or rage, don't complain. It's a pain. Keep it gay.
That's the producers.
It is the producers, Phil. Well done.
Phil beat me.
I got one.
Yay.
Awesome.
Is that the same one that has Springtime for Hitler?
It
Yes.
is, yes.
Time for Hitler
And Germany.
Nice. I'll go straight into number two then. Number two is as follows. There's no use getting into heavy petting. That only leads to trouble and
Rocky Horror.
seat wetting.
Yeah,
Oh,
damn
damn
it. Beat you to
Phil
it.
beat you all to that again.
Yeah.
Is that Sweet Transvestite?
No, that's
No.
Touch Me.
Oh,
It's
it's supposed to be, yeah, it is. It is, yeah.
Are we ready for number three? Because this is going to be a mad scramble, I can just
Yeah.
tell. That night when he came home from work, I fixed
That's
him his
Chicago.
drink as usual.
Yeah,
It is Chicago. You know, some guys
You
just
just
can't
can't
hold
hold
their...
their arsenic.
He had it coming.
Awesome. Such good songs in this. Everyone really should watch it, but never mind. Number four. There we go. She wasn't no match for such craft, you see, and everyone thought it so droll. They figured she had to be daft, you see. So all of them stood there and laughed, you see.
Oh,
This
What?
sounds very
Yeah.
familiar.
fuck.
You know what? It really is hard without the tune. It does make it difficult.
It really does make a difference.
Yeah.
I think that's why this is such a good game. You know? Do you want to hear it again?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
Please.
She wasn't no match for such craft, you see, and everyone thought it so droll. They figured she had to be daft, you see, so all of them stood there and laughed, you see.
God, I've got no
I
clue.
don't know. My brain's gone blank,
No clue.
which is normal for me, but I really don't know.
No guesses from anyone?
Ah,
If I'm gonna guess, I'll throw out a wild one and say My Fair Lady.
Unfortunately not. Sorry.
Wait,
Phil.
Go on.
no, oh,
Bloody else.
Andy's had a recognition moment.
is it Sweeney Todd?
It is Sweeney Todd, Andy. Well done.
I want to see your Google history.
what?
Because you just picked up your phone.
Yeah, oh,
No, I don't.
my most
I
recent
don't.
search.
I don't
Oh yeah, my
think
most
it is.
recent search was Maya Chicago because I didn't know she was in it.
Did out of curiosity, do you know the name of the song, Andy?
I don't think that's the
I've got no
title
clue.
of the song.
It's called Poor Thing.
It is
from
Poor
Sweeney
Thing.
Todd.
Poor
Yeah.
thing. Poor thing.
Are we ready for number 5?
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Times have changed. Our kids are getting worse. They won't obey
South
their
Park.
parents. They just want. It is South Park. How the heck did you get it from that?
Isolate Canada.
I've never seen it.
I would
They
never
won't obey
got
their
that.
parents, they just want to fart and curse.
Curse.
Should we blame the government or blame
Or
society? Or should we blame the
images on TV? No, blame Canada.
Okay.
Number 6. Here we go. Clang, clang, clang went the trolley.
Ting, ting,
Ding,
ting with the
ding,
bell.
ding,
Cling,
went the
cling.
bell.
Oh, fuck.
Zing, zing, zing when my heartstrings.
No,
From the
Oklahoma.
moment I saw him, I
Um,
fell.
What's
is it
the other
Hello
one?
Dolly? No.
It's not Hello Dolly.
No, it's
It's,
not Oklahoma, is it?
It's not Oklahoma.
Oh.
No, what's the other one? What's the other one?
What's the other one?
It's based in the.
The problem is, all I can think of is Ding Dong Merrily.
Oh, it's what's her face?
It's not that.
It's the daughter of the woman from Wizard of Oz.
It's Cabaret.
No, it is actually the woman from The Wizard of Oz. That's where you're getting confused.
Oh, it's Judy Garland.
It is Judy Garland, yes.
Oh, so is it Money Makes the World Go Around? That film? That film?
No.
Oh, damn it.
Isn't that also Cabaret?
Cabaret,
It's-
is it?
It is something of a seasonal favourite because it has a really popular Christmas song in it. That's the only hint you're getting.
Okay, that's not.
Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Judy Garland famously was alive in 1993 or whatever.
She was one of the ghosts.
Dude! Are we passing on this one? It's one
Yeah, I
of my favourite
dunno.
movies as well, by the way. If you haven't seen it and you get a chance, I would recommend it because I love it. It's a film called Meet Me in St. Louis.
I
We
knew
were
it.
talking about it the other day.
Were we?
Yes. And for some
Damn it.
reason, for the past week, I've been seeing things about Meet Me in St. Louis. There was a guy.
Do
who
you
was,
also see dead people?
maybe. I don't know.
When
Oh,
are they
yeah,
going to make
Judy
Sixth
Garland,
Sense
apparently.
the musical? When are they going to make Sixth Sense the musical?
Who are you gonna call?
I see dead people.
I was dead the whole fucking time. Anyway, are we ready for number 7?
Absolutely.
Right.
M. Night Shyamalan.
I'm a dickhead. That dude needs to die.
You're still angry about Avatar.
I'm still at last there, but I'm
Number
so angry.
7. We've still got all to play for. Let's see what the scores are, just out of curiosity.
I'm
Andy has
on
2.
2, Phil's on
Bill
3.
has 3, and Sarah is yet to score. So, Sarah,
Yeah. Consistency for Sarah.
this is there's still plenty of time. I did 25 of these, so this
Yeah,
is number
sure.
7. Skyscrapers bloom in America. Cadillacs zoom in America.
It's West Side
Industry
Story,
boom in America. It is West Side Story. Well done,
I
Andy.
want to be in America.
Yeah.
But I want to be
Okay.
in America.
I'm going straight into number 8. Look at me now. Will I ever learn? I don't know how, but I suddenly lose control. There's a fire within my soul.
Mamma Mia.
It's Mamma Mia. Well done,
One
Andy.
look and I can hear a bell ring.
Oh.
One more look and I forget everything. Whoa, Mamma Mia.
Next one, please,
Here
Mike.
It's
I
a musical.
go.
Okay, number 9. Try the grey stuff. It's delicious.
It's delicious.
Okay.
Don't believe me.
Please,
Ask
yeah,
the
yeah.
He
dishes.
said lady in the trap, damn it.
I win.
Wow, Andy, that was like 3 words in and you got that. That's incredible.
It's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes.
You do.
They
you
can
and
sing,
McGregor's
they can dance.
terrible
After all,
French
Mrs.
accent.
Friends. And the service here is never second
second
best.
best.
Right, number 10. He's nervous, but on the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down.
Oh,
No clue.
You really will know it. It's just I performed that beautifully with none of the rhythm of the. Do you
ah,
want it again with a tiny bit more rhythm?
yeah.
He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down.
Isn't that Eminem?
Yes.
Oh,
The
what was
movie.
Oh, fuck!
Green Mile?
It's
Well
Love
done,
Yourself
Sarah.
is the song.
Oh, fuck me at that point!
What's the film called?
Green Mile.
Oh,
David
no.
Jesus in it.
I didn't remember that's what it was called.
It's called 8 Mile, but I'm
8
going to give
Mile.
you it, Sarah, because you didn't have any points. And I
The
misheard
Green
you.
Mile? The Green Mile?
I was really confused. Like, the Green Mile's not a musical, is it?
Apologies. Are we ready for number 11?
Yeah.
This is a bit of a weird. This is a bit of a weird one, so bear with me. Number
Imagine
11
Tom
is
Hanks rapping.
Number 11 is Nance Ingoyama Bagiti Baba.
It's
Lion
either Lion King or Lilo and Stitch.
I heard Phil first. It is the Lion King, but I'm giving
Yeah.
Phil the point for that one.
What bit was that?
Nance Ingoyama Bagiti Baba.
What's on the menu? What's on the menu?
We used to
Pink
always sing
pajamas,
Arsene
penguins on the
Wenger.
bottom. Pink pajamas, penguins on the bottom.
Number 12 is Girls in White Dresses with Blue Satin Sashes.
Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Snowflake.
Few
Sound of
favourite
Music
things.
is correct,
Yeah.
Sarah. And that one you
Yay.
didn't need a little cheaty point because that was
You
I
got a
appreciate it.
legitimate point.
Yay!
okay. The next one. Spleens and intestines and spines and brains.
Repo the Genetic Opera.
All at warehouse.
What is
Yes,
that?
it is Repo the Genetic Opera.
Spleens,
I was
intestines,
gonna
and
say that,
spines and
but I
brains.
didn't think-
All at warehouse
Oh.
prices, but our quality is the same. Gene
What's that?
Co.
I've never heard this musical before.
It's the film
It's
where
amazing.
Paris Hilton's face falls off.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Are
that's
we
all you
watching
need to know.
Repo tonight?
That's all you
I
need to know.
almost
watching
I
Repo
almost had you guys on reviewing that instead of this one. So maybe next time you're on. you'll have to do that.
Love Repo.
I've
It's
never seen it, but I
shit,
know you love it.
Oh, it's wonderful. Anthony's head and Paris Hilton's head.
Sarah
face
Brightman
falls
as well.
Sarah Brightman.
Sarah?
She's my favourite part. I love Sarah Brightman in this film.
For the purpose
so
of the
good.
tape, Sarah's very confused.
Sarah's always confused.
off. All you need to know.
It's literally your Twitter handle.
Paris Hilton's face falls off.
Okay, noted.
3 mile?
Are we ready for number 14? This might be a stumper, but bear in mind I'm looking
Yeah.
for a musical movie here, okay?
Yeah.
Number 14. Love is like a bomb. Baby, come on, get it on. Living like a lover with a radar phone. Looking like a tramp.
I know
Like
That's
a
pour
video
some sugar
van.
on me.
Yeah.
Demolition Woman. Can I be your man?
Yeah, man. It's Pour Some Sugar on Me is the song. I couldn't tell you what musical it's fucking in. School of Rock? I don't
Nope.
know.
No.
No! Oh, fuck! Tom Cruise! Tom Cruise!
Yes.
What's
It's
the
a
fucking...
musical.
He does rock you like a hurricane! What's it called?
Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages! Damn
Well
it,
done,
you didn't
Phil.
do it.
Never seen this either.
Oh, you have to watch Rock of Ages. It's one of my favorite movies. It's incredible.
It's good. It's like.
Sorry, the audio probably peaked really loudly there.
Yeah.
I was like, I realised what it was, and I was like, no, wait, it's the Tom Cruise one where they use all the 80s rock, but I can't remember what the fuck it's called.
In a musical.
It's
Yeah.
quite good, isn't it?
He plays
Stacey
a-
Jack.
He plays a rock star.
And also, by the way, Catherine Zeta-Jones performing Pat Benatar.
Yeah, Catherine
Oh.
Zeta-Jones did it.
Oh, never seen it.
There's a lot of good people in that.
Yeah. And then there's Alec Baldwin and Russell Brand doing a love song for no reason.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin and Russell Brand dancing together.
15. Suddenly, the world seems such a perfect place. Suddenly, it
Little
moves
Shop of
with
Horrors.
with such a perfect grace. Suddenly, my life doesn't seem such a waste. It all revolves around you.
I know
This was
the
a bit of a-
words.
Yeah,
I was mouthing
same.
along as you
Yeah.
said it, but I can't picture it.
Oh no, I was thinking.
Wait, is it
Suddenly
Wicked?
Seymour.
It is not Wicked, no.
Damn it.
This was a bit of a twatful one for me to have picked, but I
man.
like it.
And
Twatful.
now I'm trying
It's a
to
good
think
word.
of films where someone is singing the word suddenly, but all I can think of is Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean, that's what I'm thinking of. Suddenly.
Oh no, I don't know. I'm gonna kick myself in it.
Would you
Not
like it
a clue.
again or not?
No clue. Andy, any clue?
Andy?
No.
Do you want it again before we give up, or are you just going to throw in the towel?
Go on, I'll throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Okay, that is the song "Come What May" from Moulin Rouge.
Oh.
That is literally the only original song in Moulin Rouge, which is why it was a bit of a dick move to pick it. But there we go. Right, number 16, straight in. Michael Rennie was ill the day the earth stood still, but he told us where we stand.
Yeah, that's
And Flash Gordon was there.
Yeah,
in
it's
Silver
Rocky
Rocky
Horror
Underwear.
again.
It's Rocky Horror again, Phil. Well done.
It's like the science fiction double
Science
feature.
fiction double feature picture show.
It
Isn't
is
it?
indeed one of my favourite songs ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's nice though that we can have the same film twice though.
Yeah, I was really confused as that it can't be Rocky
You
Horror
can have the
again.
same
Yeah,
film as
that's
many
what I
times as you
think of
want.
it.
You did not
It-
say that we could not have the same thing
I
twice.
didn't say you couldn't. There's lots of songs in different musicals, but I will say that is the only time that the same film comes up twice.
Oh.
Okay.
Right, number 17. Let me try and get myself in the mood for this. 17. Touch me, it's so easy to leave me. All alone with the memory of my days in the sun. If you touch me, you'll understand what happiness is.
Cats.
Yeah,
Every
it
day.
is.
It's
It's
It
memories.
is Cats,
isn't it?
Phil.
It's the ostrich
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, memories.
Why is it the Oh, yeah.
Memory all alone in the
That's a classic, that.
moonlight.
And that's a classic, terrible karaoke rendition, that is. Yeah, that.
Number 18, if anybody gets this, you'll be my best friend. Okay, what's the movie musical? Mona Lisa, the original basic bitch, traveled thousands of miles to see your beautiful smile. Talk about a bait and switch. You ugly.
God, I don't know.
Silence.
Sing it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Mona Lisa, the original basic bitch, traveled thousands of miles to see your beautiful smile. Talk about a bait and switch. You ugly.
I'm guessing this is.
Isn't that a Lonely Island song?
Maybe.
They're like a comedy music duo. They did a few songs. They did Dick in a Box with Justin Timberlake.
Oh,
It's
Yes,
not
but
gay,
this is
isn't it?
from a movie musical, Andy.
Yeah, but I can't remember which movie musical Lonely Island did.
Well, there's one out there.
Really? I've got no clue then. No
Yeah,
clue.
I've
Go
got.
on.
I've got
I can't
no
remember the name
idea.
of the film. I just know it's Lonely Island.
That is from the amazing, fantastic, and brilliant movie Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Yeah, would not have got that.
No.
Just from the title alone, that sounds like something I need to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, you really do. It's hilarious.
Sounds
There's
wonderful.
the song. You probably know the songs because like Lonely Island, I think released them as songs. But the song Equal Rights is great because it's just like Andy Samberg's character trying to propose equal rights while desperately pleading that he's not gay. I'm not gay, but if I was, I would want equal rights. I'm not gay, but if I was, I would marry who I like. Number 19. Now your bangs are curled, your lashes twirled, but still the world is cruel. Wipe off that angel face and go back to high school.
Oh, Grease.
Yeah.
It
Isn't
is Grease, Sarah. Do you know the song out of curiosity?
Yes, it is Beauty School Dropout.
It is Beauty
Yeah.
School Dropout. Well done.
Yeah.
I'm not giving extra points for knowing the song. I'm just curious. Sorry.
Oh.
No offense.
What I need.
Right. Number 20 then. So we've got 6 more to go. Actually, just before I do that then, there are 6 to go and the current scores are Phil is in the lead with 7, Andy is a close second with 6, and Sarah has 3. So it's still technically anybody's game. Right, number 20. We're all in this together.
High School
Has it
Musical.
been damn it!
Oh, shit,
Yes, it was High School Musical.
I'm
Wow.
so happy that I managed to beat him on High
Right.
School Musical.
We said that at the same time. We said that at the same
You
I
time.
need to
literally
be very
just
glad
needed-
you were not in the room for this because I don't think I've ever seen either of them really intense. As they
We
were.
said that at the same
They
time.
both
was
leave
We said that at the same
exactly
time.
the same time. The-
Just
the-
accept defeat.
Even Sarah said it was the same time.
I heard Phil first. I'm sorry. Maybe it's the
I
delay
did
on the
not get it
tape,
first
but-
time, but
Don't
you
insult
both went
our host.
forward and you both nearly ate the mic. I was a little bit scared. I'm not gonna lie.
I played Ryan in a production of High School Musical, therefore I win that point.
Andy, you've still got another 5 to go. Right. I'm going to go with number 21 now. Fingers on buzzers, or whatever, whatever you're up to. Number 21. This is somebody's going to jump in here. I can just tell. 21. Ever since this whole world began, a woman found out if she shook it, she could shake up a man, and so I'm going to shake and shimmy it the best that I can today.
Fuck!
Nope, no clue.
Ah!
For the purpose of the tape, watching Andy and
Hairspray.
Phil.
Yeah!
There we go.
Hairspray is correct, Phil.
Watching Andy and Phil work this out was
is it
amazing.
Is it you?
You Can't Stop
Yeah,
the
it
Beat.
is You Can't Stop
You
the Beat.
can't stop the beat. Motion of the
Oh,
ocean of the
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Right, are we ready for number 22?
Absolutely.
I'll be surprised if anyone knows this, but I'll be pleased because underrated song. Locked in a cage with all the rats. I've slipped through the cracks and now I'm stuck with the scraps and I can't seem to find my way back. Oh, get me out of here, or throw me a rope. I'm ready for stardom after all these years. Silence again.
No.
I've just made a big mistake.
TikTok's favourite, this.
I rubbed my hay fever riddled eyes with fingers covered in hot flaming
You
dust.
fool!
First world problems, ladies and
Might help
gentlemen.
you focus.
First world problems.
Pardon?
Might help you focus.
No, it's fucking not.
I
have
very much
no
doubt
idea.
you've seen this film, to be
Yeah,
fair.
I
I just
have
like the
no
song.
idea.
No, what is it?
That was the performance of Miss Cameron Diaz in the black version of Annie.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay. Oh, that's
Very
the
good,
newest
very
good.
version.
That's the new one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the newest one. Not seen it.
Number 23. And still, I dream he'll come to me. That we will live the years
Limit,
together.
It's like, fuck off! It's like
There
in the
are
dream,
two-
yeah. I was
can't
waiting
be-
for Lamies to turn up as well.
Noise.
Not doing very
Andy.
good with the ones that you really like, are you?
Yeah.
So that's a point for Andy. Currently,
No, it was Sarah. It was
is-
Sarah.
Sarah.
It was
Little
Sarah.
Sarah. Oh, okay, my
Yeah.
I
bad.
said lemon.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. In which case, it is currently 9 to Phil, 6 to Andy, and 4 to Sarah.
I think Phil wins.
But we might as well finish it
We've
off
still
because we're
got
here.
more to do.
Yeah. I've
Number
started, so I'll finish.
23. We've done number 24. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it.
Little
Willy
Mermaid.
Wonka
Willy
and
Sh-
the Chocolate
Oh, no,
Factory.
that's-
Yeah.
Willy Wonka, Phil, well done.
Yeah, very good.
Just giving nobody
Is it-
even a
is this,
chance to
World
remotely
of Pure
catch.
Imagination.
It is pure
Pure
imagination.
imagination, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, my,
finally-
for some reason my first thought was Under the Sea from the Little Mermaid.
I wondered why you shouted out Little Mermaid, but yeah, anyway. And finally, number 25, if you're playing along at home, why not? I could while away the hours conferring with the flowers,
Flowers.
consulting with the rain,
That's
and my
Wizard of
head I'd
Oz.
be scratching. It
That's
is
the
the Wizard of
Scarecrow
Oz.
song
Yeah.
with the brain.
If I only
Yeah.
had a
I
brain.
only had a brain.
I only had a
So that's
brain.
it. The final scores then. Phil has run away with that with 10 points.
Yay!
And-
Yay!
Andy is a very respectable 7 points. And Sarah is certainly not to be sneezed at, 5 points. So everybody kind
Yay!
of got, did a respectable performance, I would say. But yeah, Phil
I'm
definitely the winner of
furious that Phil got the High School Musical point over me.
It wouldn't have mattered, in fairness. That would just make it like 9
I
to 8. in
don't
favour.
care.
Then in our heads, Andy, we'll know that you got the High School Musical.
Thank you. If anything, I'm just
So-
proving that I am the Sharpay of this group.
Going to move us into the final sections. The first one of which, before I get into anything else, I'm going to do the audience interaction section because why not? It'll hopefully not mean everybody tunes out beforehand. I will say that I left on all of my social medias in like 5 or 6 places. I left the prompt. Has anyone seen Chicago? What are your thoughts on this? I got the grand sum of 0. Nobody responded.
Aw.
But I did go on Letterboxd, which is a fantastic place to go because you get some hilarious things and some cool reviews. So again, these are public, so apologies if you didn't want it, but you had it coming. So-
You only had yourselves to blame.
Indeed.
If you'd have been
Um,
there, if you'd have seen it,
You're back in
I
the game
bet you
again.
would have done the same.
So yeah, this is from my friend Alex Marzonia. We are actually friends. He gave Chicago 4.5 stars and just says, I love seeing good choreo and the fantastical aspect of musicals because they're crazy. Let's see, what else do we have? From Lauren, that's all I've got here, just Lauren. 4 stars. Not only did Roxy Hart and Velma Kelly serve time, but they served looks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Work it, Queen. Bring it to the runway.
This one I love. This is from John, just John, who gave it 5 stars and simply put, being an influencer was so much easier in 1924.
Well, just John, you would be correct.
This is from Dead Ringer.
Can you
who
imagine,
also...
can you imagine Roxy turning up at a court appearance being sponsored by Raid Shadow Legend?
Get my new scent, Murderess by Roxy.
Now, as you can see, I'm serving time for a murder that I didn't commit, despite my search history, literally looking up how much time can you serve for shooting a man. But you wouldn't know if that was on my search history if you used
VPN?
today's sponsor, NordVPN.
Fucking- that was glorious. Right, this review is by Dead Ringer. He gives Chicago 5 stars and says, "Me 2 hours ago. I hate musical theatre movies. Me now. They both. Reach for the gun, the gun, the gun."
That is such a good song. Oh my god.
Nice. This is by Ao Adabiri. Apologies if I've mispronounced that. Who says, "This is just top tier musical adaptation. What else can be said? Everyone involved is so in their bag, almost height of their powers. John C. Reilly, Mr. Cellophane, always makes me sob. Fuck you, Sarah. I believed Catherine Zeta-Jones was Latina for maybe 20 years of my life. This is my review."
Wait, did they finish their review saying this is my review?
Yes.
I want what he just said on a t-shirt in very small writing at the very bottom at the front, just saying, "Fuck you, Sarah."
I didn't mean it. You know it's all in good fun.
Are you looking for some way to while away the hours stuck in
Your
prison?
mind.
Do you like books but can't stand to sit down and read? Then you should use Audible. Use the code.
Mike, I wouldn't blame you
Use
if
the
you
code. I didn't do it. #10 to get $5 off your first month.
This review is by Ellie, who gives it 4.5 stars and says, "Me gasping out loud when Roxy revealed her garter to the jury would have been fine, except it was family movie night." Yeah, and that was all. There was multiple others. I didn't actually save any because there were so many. But the sheer amount of them that were just like, "Catherine Zeta-Jones can murder me anytime she wants." So, there's a lot of people thirsting after this.
Did educate me.
Yeah,
I will
that's
admit, I'd never heard of the spread eagle until I watched Chicago.
We're gonna conclude this. We are, I promise. So I'm gonna move us to the favorite character moment and line section, and I'm gonna start with. Why not start with you guys? And Sarah, we'll start with you. Why not? Who's your favorite character in the movie and why?
Okay. Okay. I don't like the actor, but the character of the husband,
Amos.
thank you. Because again, I still don't like the actor. I just want to make it very clear, I do not like him.
We know.
I'm just making sure in case I haven't said
Just in
it.
case John C. Reilly ever listens to
in
this,
case.
you want to make it clear that you hate his fucking
do not
guts.
like him. I do not like his comedy style, but the character itself, he played it very well. It got to a point where you were like, "Oh my god, can you not fucking see that she's messing with you?"
Okay.
It was a good juxtaposition, big word, to her character. Her coming from, "I'm so sick of this idiot, I no longer want to live this life," was a very good sort of tool to use to show that what shit life she really, how shit her life was and the shitty sort of situation she was in. And obviously I really love the Cellophane. That's my very favorite song. So I liked the character. He played it very well. It was a good story mover. That makes sense as well. And at the end, he did have a little bit of an arc where he was like, "Oh, wait a sec. Shit." And then he just sort of left her to it. He actually came to his senses at the end and went, "Actually, I'm just going to let her crack on with whatever the fuck she's getting on with," and just sort of got on with his life. So I kind of like him for that. But yeah, I think he was my favourite character.
Cool. And what about you, Phil? Who was your favourite character and why?
Mine was Richard Gere, who I've completely...
Billy Flynn.
Billy Flynn.
The smarmy prick of a attorney? No. Lawyer, that's the word. I can do words today. Partly because of the interactions between him and Amos. But just
very different characters.
Just his whole I was going to say character
his
arc, but no.
Just because of the whole razzle dazzle. Let's be fair.
I was going to say his character arc, but he doesn't really have one. He's just a manipulative dick throughout.
Yeah.
But again, it ties to songs. My 2 favorite songs are "Razzle Dazzle" and "They Reach for the Gun." Both of which are ones that he performs. And I think that just sort of sells me on his character being kind of cool.
Yeah, no,
Cool.
absolutely.
So one Amos, one Billy. What about you, Andy? Who's your favourite character?
It's a toss-up between Velma and Mama. Probably Velma, just because she gets more screen time, so we actually get a bit more with her.
So I'm probably going to say Velma, but I do love Matron Mama Morton all the
Don't
same.
you think our favourite characters are very typical of our characters? Because
I
you
hope so.
Mama is
Because-
very like, she's like bombastic, she's out there, she shimmies. That's
Also,
you.
Velma, I'm a performer.
You're a
Velma's
performer.
Yeah.
Phil is weird.
And also,
And you're the clown.
And I'm the clown! There we go!
I was just going to say, I hope that's true, because my favourite character I actually agreed with, Sarah. It was Amos Hart,
Yeah.
because I think he's relatable,
Yeah.
the genuine victim, and the only, as Andy said earlier, he's the only morally virtuous character in the entire film. And his song, Mr. Cellophane, really seals it for me. Though I will say the main three characters are fantastic, well-drawn characters, but they're also jerks. So it's kind of hard to say they're your favourite or you like them, because they're not very nice. So, that was my logic. Did you have a favourite, let's see, moment from the film, Sarah? The moment, scene, anything you like.
I think it has to. Obviously, Mr. Cellophane, I think, is really well done because he's alone on the stage. There is absolutely no sparkle to it. It's again, there is the juxtaposition between every other song in the film and then his individual solo single light. There's no one in the audience. He's on his own. He has the simplest choreography. It's so fucking miserable and plain, but it's typical of that character, and I think it was really well done. But I think one of my favourite scenes would have been the they both reach for the gun, just because of the direction, the cinematography, the positioning, the
every other film word you can throw in there.
No, but
The
really,
scenery, the costuming.
No, I don't even think the costume.
What about you then, Phil? What was your favourite moment, scene, or anything?
It's the exact same.
Mm.
Both
Okay.
reach for the gun. Mostly for just how it was shot. Starting off with
The mise en scène was quite beautiful in that number, I thought, wasn't it?
Sarah's looking very smug now. How it starts with him manipulating Roxy as a ventriloquist dummy.
Very well
And
performed as well. Yeah.
It goes on to show everyone is under his thumb.
Awesome.
I like how it just shows just how far the corruption spreads.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
I also love the fact that I'm just jumping in. This isn't my favorite scene, but I do love how I should have mentioned it earlier. I love how in the second sort of chorus he gets Mary Sunshine singing with him, almost like symbolizing that like she's
in on
helping
it.
him.
She's on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like she's
Fair.
helping him spread the
Manipulating the
story.
press, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Andy, I'm curious if we're on the same page. What's your favourite moment or scene?
Cell Block Tango. It was never going to be anything but Cell Block Tango.
Yes. I'm chuffed because that was mine as well.
It's like there's so many good parts of this film. I mean, the whole
Yeah,
film
agreed.
is great, but Cell Block Tango is just incredible.
It's the combination of the choreography put together, the way it's staged, the way that it's all lit and framed and everything, and
It's the
performance
build
level
up.
is
I
just
love how each verse it builds up
Set.
differently, and there's so many quotable bits like
Mhm.
and he ran into my knife.
He
ran into my knife 10 times. It's just so many quotable bits.
nice.
But
yeah.
especially like the culmination at the end after after the final girl sings her verse, and then all of these women just come out of these cells like just belting out about the men who've like ruined their lives, and it's such a powerful moment of just all these women being like, "Fuck men."
They use light really well and
Yeah, I
shadow
love
really
the red
well.
lighting.
The silhouette
Yes.
is like, yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Really good. I said the same thing, but there again, it could have been anything. There's multiple contenders, but I did want to give a special shout out. The lawyering combined with the tap dance was a close second because, wow, it was pretty cool. And finally, not finally, but we have a conclusion, but what was your favorite line in the movie, Sarah?
I think it's got to be in one of Mama's songs. Song, I should say. It's the tit for tat line. I think that's a good. It's because it's dripping with what's the word?
Sexuality.
Well, not just
Innuendo?
that. It's double entendre.
Yeah.
You know, I like the there's layers to that one line. That's a good one. Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Phil, what about you?
For me, it is a moment in Cell Block Tango. It's Velma when she goes, "It wasn't until I was washing the blood off my hands I even knew they were dead."
Wow, that's
It's-
a dark line. To
I
pick.
love it's the way she performs it. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Like it starts innocent, and then at the end, her voice is like
Yeah.
dripping with venom.
Dead.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Cool.
I also love in terms of direction. You know, obviously you mentioned how like the red symbolizes where the blood was.
Mm.
So like with the arsenic, it pulls out the mouth because it was poison. With the stabbing, it's out the chest. With the
With Velma,
I love the way that the napkins represent her washing the blood off her hands. It's like really well done because we don't actually really find out how she killed her husband and
good
sister.
point. Yeah.
We just know that she did it, and I love how that's done with the lighting. It's so well done.
Cool. And what was your favorite line then, Andy?
Dialogue-wise, it's definitely the one at the end where Roxy's like, "There's one problem. I hate you," and Velma just goes, "Well, honey, there's one business in the world where that isn't a problem."
Yeah.
I love that line of dialogue-wise. Song-wise, I mean, really any line from Cell Block Tango. I think some guys just can't hold their arsenic is really funny. I also like the tit for tat line. We'll go with the dialogue when I mentioned, but in terms of songs, there's just so many good ones.
That's cool.
I also just
pretty much any song has a
yeah.
number of wonderful
one of my
lines.
favorite lines from a song is in "We Both Reach for the Gun," the part where I think it's Mary Sunshine leans in and goes, "Are you sorry?" And she goes, "Are you kidding?" And then like Billy just kind of elbows her like, "Shut the fuck up."
There's the one time she breaks it.
Yeah, the one time she breaks the illusion, and you
Yeah.
see. I like that it cuts to her normally as she says it as well, and then Billy immediately picks things back up.
Yeah.
It cuts to her giving the press conference rather than the dummy version. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. Well, as has become common, I couldn't narrow it down to one line, so I have 4, but I do have a winner. So look at it that way.
Ooh.
So 3 runners up and 1 winner. The 3 running up lines are, first of all, from what I hear, he's been burgling you 3 times a week for the last month.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
The next one is from Cell Block Tango. I fired 2 warning shots into his head. And the next one is actually from Roxy, ironically, and it is the line, "I started fooling around, then I started screwing around," which is fooling around without dinner.
Yeah.
And despite this being from your least favorite song, the winner by far for me is this following piece of dialogue, shall we say, but it's from the song, which is "I'm a star and the audience loves me and I love them and they love me for loving them and I love them for loving me and we love each other, and that's because none of us got enough love in our childhoods, and that's showbiz, kid."
I just want to clarify, isn't that I still like the song?
Yeah, but it's your least favorite.
They love them for loving me. That's the one. Yeah.
That's showbiz, kid. So, do you guys have a conclusion and score then at all, or shall I? I'll come to you first, Sarah. Sorry, and put you on the spot. Conclusion and a score out of 5 stars.
For the purpose of the tape, Sarah, as soon as she said that, blinked rapidly as if she suddenly became a droid asking for SOS.
Does not compute.
So, what is numbers? Oh no.
A rating out of
Does
5.
not compute.
Well, a little conclusion, just like a little sentence or 2 maybe, and then a rating out of 5 stars.
Ooh.
Sarah's review on Letterboxd. Ooh.
Ooh, 5 stars.
Ooh, that's nice. I would give it a 4 out of 5, and the only reason are you just impressed I can count to 4? Is
No,
that why
I'm
you're
just
laughing?
laughing at the fact that you just didn't bother leaving a conclusion.
Oh, that's nice. There's a lot to say, and I can't put it in one sentence merely because I
enough.
can't construct sentences.
But we're gonna go with a 4 out of 5 though.
We're
From
going
you,
to go with a
Sarah,
4
yeah?
out of 5. And the only reason that I won't give it a 5 out of 5 is because I'm very hard to please.
Oh, I thought we were
Okay.
going to as John C. Reilly in it.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. No, 4
Fair
out of
enough.
5. Excellent film. Excellently done. Absolutely.
Awesome.
4
And what
out of
about
5.
you?
I have no negatives. I'm just being stingy.
Wouldn't be the first time someone's done that, believe me. But, Phil, what about you? Conclusion and score, Phil, if you're able.
I don't know if I'm able, but it will certainly endeavour. So I'd say that it's certainly one of my favorite musicals. I don't know if I'd say it's the top, but it is masterfully acted by all involved, even to the point of making me really hate one of the protagonists, even though I'm not entirely sure if you're supposed to, but she's an arse, and I despise her, and it makes me despise her in a really good way. Everyone else is marvelous throughout, and just the music. Obviously, it's a musical, but the music is like the big thing of this film. And again, apart from the songs about the character that I don't like, Roxy, every single song I absolutely love. So I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I was tempted to say 5, but I'll say 4.5 out of stars out of 5. Because it is fantastic. Just maybe not the tip of the top, but it is something that everybody should definitely watch.
What about you, Andy? Conclusion and score.
So in conclusion, words. It's one of my favorite films of all time. It is my favorite musical. Whether it's the stage production or the film, I think it's pretty phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I'm just going to put my score in the conclusion, but it is an easy 5 out of 5 for me. It's one of my go-to films if I just want to watch something to enjoy. I love the songs. I love the music. I love the performance, especially Catherine Zeta-Jones. I honestly think is the standout. I think she's marvelous as Velma, taking a character who is utterly despisable, yet making me love her nonetheless, is really good. I love this film. It's incredible. Easy 5 out of 5 for me because it is absolutely one of my top, probably in my top 3 go-to films to just watch. Which I'm now realizing 2 of them are actually musicals. I love this film. It's
awesome.
Incredible.
Apologies for being the only one that actually understood the assignment. So I will have a conclusion, but it's quite pompous and a little bit long-winded. I apologize, but what?
Are you saying, "Oh, it's lovely"? It's not a good summary.
My conclusion. It's not that long, actually.
I don't care to hear what you have to say anymore after that.
I'm sorry. I crossed the line. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
Mike, last time when we had you on our podcast that couldn't air, Sarah literally said the words to you. You're not that autistic.
How little she knows. Anyway, my conclusion is.
I'll be interested to find out. Go on.
My conclusion is just that it's an iconic musical which deserves its high reputation. A deftness of touch belies a surprisingly biting satire on showbiz, the legal system, and base human nature. There's some great black humor and so many instantly recognizable song and dance numbers. It could be maudlin or preachy, but it gets the message across whilst being thoroughly entertaining. Likewise, the direction is just stunning. The acting is almost universally great, with maybe a couple of stumbles. And barring what I felt was one slight tonal misfire, the whole thing is incredibly entertaining, toe-tapping, and just enjoyable as a feast for the eyes and ears. The whole thing moves very briskly too, so you're never bored. And the film even feels shorter than its length. So when the ending came, my response was, "Oh, already?" And it's a deserving Best Picture winner in my eyes. So I also,
sex life.
Indeed, so gave it 5 out of 5, just like you did. I love it. I think
I
it's
will
very
say,
good.
just on the point of what you said, I also agree. Like when I remember every single time I've watched this film, I've finished and gone, that was not 2 hours and however. Is it 2 hours and 8 minutes?
Really
It's just under. It's like an hour 53, I think, something like that. But
Actually, good
it
point.
doesn't feel like 2 hours.
it doesn't. No, not at all.
Yeah, it's so good. I love. And you mentioned the tonal misfire, but I feel like our explanation may have won you over on that slightly as well.
Kind of did, yeah, exactly that. But I wrote that obviously beforehand. But yeah. Definitely. So obviously that would come to an average, which we normally work out for the podcast. So between the 4 of us, the average score and the final score for Chicago from the podcast is 4.625 or 4.6 for argument's sake out of 5. So pretty dang good, I would say.
Absolutely.
Sarah's very confused. I just need to explain something to her. Black humor is not racism. It means dark humor.
Dark humor,
Dark humor.
That entire time, so she was looking at me going, blackface.
I thought that's what you were doing.
I was like, black humor. Well, there's only one black character in it, and I don't think she was that funny.
Oh, Phil, please tell me I don't have to cut this out.
Hey, it's your podcast.
Oh, Sarah, you are a gift to this earth.
Oh, you three are just the best.
Oh, that's nice of him to say that she was funny. That was nice.
Oh man. You always, again, I don't want to bring the mood down or anything like that, but I do have to do this bit of business. If you've listened to our previous podcast, you will know that we are fighting back basically against the Supreme Court's decision to strike down Roe versus Wade in the US. It is a sucky thing. It's terrible. And if you don't think it affects you, believe me, it is potentially the first step in a very dangerous road. So we are proud to have partnered with a organization called What Choice, which is a group of ostensibly Star Wars podcasts, but they basically allowed us to join them, and they've recruited a few others. That is a campaign to protect choice and bodily autonomy. They are raising money for the National Abortion Federation, NAF. They not only help clinics against increasing attacks and violence, but they also offer a multilingual hotline for support, as well as funds for procedures and travel. Please join us to help protect choice. There's no waiting around. The time to fight is now, and all the details that you will need to help out there will be in our description. So again, a bit of a downer, but unfortunately the real world does creep in sometimes, and we did sort of want to make it clear that we are in support of that here at this podcast. Myself and DK, brilliant. And I'm sure that We Pay For Your Floor guys would agree as well. So,
I completely agree.
100% agree. That's one.
I do think this has ended up very much exactly what I had intended, which is a lovely combination coming together of the Silver Screen and We Pay For Your Floor podcast. So
basically, what you've gotten is the seriousness in the film of Silver Screen and the fucking ridiculousness of We Pay For Your Floor. I'd like to clarify, we're not scripted. We do all of this off the fly, in case it wasn't obvious.
I was just going to say this could serve as a potentially great advert if we can get some of our listeners and viewers on board. And I'd love to, because these guys, their podcast is just fun. And we can get, if anybody is interested, as I say, in going to follow We Pay For Your Floor, look them up on YouTube, watch some of their episodes. I'm sure they'll be coming back with new ones soon after I've ruined their streak.
We're recording tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You can also...
And in terms of the episodes that we did record with you like a month or so ago now, I am in process of editing all of them together to be their own sort of special standoff thing. So at least some of what we've done will still get to be out there, because I don't want that to all go to waste.
It wasn't. It was a great. We had such a good time. It was so much fun.
We did.
Meeting you as well was so much fun, despite how awful I can be and have absolutely no filter whatsoever.
I feel like we're of a very similar, well, as you would know from being friends with Andy and Phil, as am I, we're a very similar sense of humor, and I don't think either one of us are offended easily.
Awful.
No, I've genuinely, I want to say thank you guys for coming on. I've had a really good time, and I always do when you guys are around, and it's always fun, and I'll have to have you back, and hopefully we can do this again sometime soon, podcasting one way or the other. So yeah, it's. I hope you guys have great fun recording and everything tomorrow. And did you have anything else you wanted to shout out quickly before we go?
I'm gonna go release my bladder.
No, just thank you so much for having us on. I'm so sorry. We tend to go off in tangents, and
it's cool. It's good.
We never stay on subject. It's always
normally
it's
shit. Me on We Pay For Your Floor trying to steer these
herd
two.
cats. That's what it's like.
That is the best description.
Literally, we are screeching cats, and Phil is the begrudging grandma.
But then you'll get me on some tangent, and I'll go off for half an hour, and then you'll both just come over and just cut me out completely.
That's one of my favorite things.
Oh no, we're ending the podcast, and Phil's halfway through a sentence.
I've only just begun to speak. Is that hello? Is that no? We're going to end it there. Is that okay?
I liked when we were talking, and you would say you'd say. Indeed. So what was your score?
Thank you so much for having us on. Genuinely, if you did enjoy our presence here, as you can see on your screen, we are on Twitter as WPFYF, so WPFYF, We Pay For Your Floor. We are on Instagram as We Pay For Your Floor. We are
Twitter, that'll sort of direct you to everything, or Spotify,
yeah,
YouTube,
you can listen to us on Spotify. I would recommend watching us on YouTube, because Phil, our editor, does some amazing visual gags.
coming up
I
like with
wouldn't
some of
say
the
amazing.
ridiculous shit we come up with, like the fucking spinning little of Inverness and
Yeah, you're
all
not getting
that
any
kind
of that on this, by the way. Anything we've talked about, if it isn't involving the movie Chicago, you're getting nothing. There's no animation.
And just for future reference, in case you are all interested, in December we will be in Beijing opening new pork markets.
Nice. You can find us at the usual places. It's all going to be in the descriptions. We're at podcast_screen on Twitter is the main one. But yeah, thanks again for joining us, guys. My normal sign off would be in the epic words of Arnie, I'll be back. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to leave it open. But in the meantime, this is the last episode of the regular second series of the podcast. But we will be back with at least one episode a month. The next one I won't be on, but my co-host DK will be taking over, and he's reviewing the movie Predator. Speaking of Arnie, so he'll be getting to the chopper. I'm going to sign off series 2 of the podcast because it's a WPFYF crossover by asking. So Sarah, what are you going to do right now?
Oh, I'm going to go home and endeavour to be the best neighbour I have ever fucking been.
You'd better, because we know where you live, and we will find you, and we will kill you. That's a film reference for you.
Nice,
No.
keeping it film related.
Well,
No,
actually,
but,
Mike, what are you going to do?
well, I'm going to just continue to be the best film podcaster and general all-round
All
friend
right.
that I could be.
You'd better,
Okay.
because we paid for your film.
Nice. And that's where I'll end that. Aha, but wait, there's more. We couldn't do a musical episode and have a performer as one of our guests and not have him sing us out. So, without any further ado, allow me to present Mr. Andrew Kemp performing the very appropriate All That Jazz from Chicago. Take it away, Andy.
Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town? And all that jazz, I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down. And all that jazz, inside the car, I know a whoopee spot where the gin is cold, but the piano is hot. It's just a noisy hall where there's a nightly brawl, and all that jazz, and all that jazz. And all that jazz. Slick your hair and wear your buckle shoes. And all that jazz, I hear that Father Dip is gonna blow the blues. And all that jazz, hold on, hon, we're gonna bunny hug. I'll pop some aspirin, I'll let you night and drug in case you shake apart and want a brand new start to do that jazz. Find a flask, we're playing fast and loose. And all that jazz, right up here is where I store the juice. And all that jazz, come on babe, we're gonna brush the sky. I bet you're lucky Lindy never flew so high, 'cause in the stratosphere, how could he lend an ear to all that jazz? Shimmy, shake, and all that jazz. Oh, she's gonna shimmy till the garters break, and all that jazz. Show her where to park a girdle. Oh, her mother's blood will curdle. Did she hear her baby's queer for all that jazz? the jazz. Come on, babe, why don't we paint the town and all that jazz? I'm gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down and all that jazz. Start the car, I know a one-piece spot where the gin is cold but the piano is hot. It's just a noisy hall where there's a nightly brawl and all that jazz. No, I'm no one's wife, but oh, I like and know that jazz.
Thank you.